In today's 14th episode of the Sports and Psychology Podcast, we are talking trade season, baby. It is time for us to talk about mid-season trades, what it's like moving halfway, 3/4 through the season to a different team, what athletes go through emotionally, psychologically, what we need to look out for, and then how to approach starting midway or 3/4 way through a season to starting with a new team. So if you're someone interested in players changing teams, a player that might have this happen to them either mid-season, mid-semester, what have you, changing teams, or you're just a coach, a supporter, a supervisor, or even a parent looking to help your athletes better, then you're right where you want to be. Hello, buenos dias, dobrý den, ohayo gozaimasu. Welcome to the Sports and Psychology Podcast, your weekly Saturday morning pod where we talk all things athletes, tactics, performance, and most importantly, mindset. I am your host, letting them three balls fly, Cord Thomas. Now, I'm a mindset coach specializing in sports psychology, performance, stress, and anxiety reduction, and mental preparation, having helped hundreds of clients and tens of professional athletes exceed their potential, reach their goals, and lead fulfilling lives. After becoming a 2-time Taekwondo Junior Olympic medalist and moving from the US to Europe to study and play basketball, I found my passion in the psychology of success. Before we hop into things, do me a favor, hit that follow button below the video or the pod to get updates on new episodes. And if you're here with me on YouTube, hit me with a like and a comment. Thank you for making the Sports and Psychology Pod your first Saturday morning listen. If you want to reach out and connect with me or join in our mailbag episode, you can find me on Instagram at athlete.m1ndsct, Twitter athlete_m1ndsct, or email me at sportsandpsychologypod@gmail.com. Let's hop into things. Other than a lack of close contact with our support systems and now a new setup of everything, I think to me the third thing is logistics. Get to know as soon as possible the logistics of the complete necessities. A, where you're living, like if it's a hotel, fine. B, how you get to and from your training facilities, to and from games. C, what are the necessities that you need? Where are you going shopping? Where is maybe the nearest gym if you don't have team facilities for a gym? And who from the team can help you with these things? Maybe who from the new team can help show you around the new town, the new city, etc. So can I get some sort of ambassador, some sort of trainer, someone to really take my hand and show me around and get me acquainted as quick as possible so that I don't have to go through the exploring phase right away myself, so that I have all my necessities taken care of as soon as possible. Then I think last but not least, in terms of outside of the sport things that an athlete deals with when changing teams mid-season, something that I would point out, something that I would want to look at is that dual career, is that secondary path that we're looking at, is that, yes, I'm a professional athlete, or yes, one day I'm going to be a professional athlete, but that second path oftentimes is quite interrupted when moving to a new team. I think CJ McCollum, someone I followed for a long time, being a Blazers fan myself, as you've probably recognized in this podcast, I have a tendency to notice Portland Trailblazers, Jeremy Grant, etc. Damian Lillard I mention often. But CJ McCollum, former Trailblazer, now Pelican, it was quite clear that he had set up very strong roots in Oregon, including buying a very large winery, having multiple businesses that he had invested in. And now he's mid-season, a couple seasons, or last season, he was mid-season traded to New Orleans, which is more than 2/3 maybe across the US. And those businesses that he was tending to, that he was cultivating, were now he wasn't there to really oversee them. So I think making sure if we're traded that we're able to put other businesses in order, maybe find a manager for them, or unfortunately sometimes sell them off and invest elsewhere, ideally to something that's stable. I mean, if we're an athlete, moving is usually part of our reality. So if we have a dual career, if we're investing or learning new things, ideally it would be something that when we move isn't too interrupted. I mean, studies usually, if we're studying something, it can be done long distance, it can be adapted, what have you, we can transfer schools. But if we're really talking owning a business or working with a company that we were we had an internship at, etc., now moving cities is going to make it quite difficult to continue down that path. So to me, that's number 3 to deal with, and something that definitely plays on athletes' hearts, that is an added stress. So that's something to put in order as soon as possible. Look at the alternatives. Take a look at what are my other options. Will this company support me in a different city, allow me to do long distance? Will this company run without me? Maybe can I get the letter of recommendation to continue down my career path doing something new? Can they recommend me as an intern somewhere else in my new city? I think looking at these things are really helpful and give us, again, that sense of security, that sense of stability that we're looking for. We're rebuilding. Anytime we move teams, move cities especially, we're rebuilding our vision for the future from the ground up. So bringing a level of stability, huge. Continuing to have not lose our social contacts, really keep our support system around us, even though it's long distance, really important. And then remembering that we can't forget that our athletic careers only last for so long, and making sure to keep up on the other side of things, also extremely important. And again, will give us that level of stability and level of maturity to come into the new team with a level head and really get the most out of ourselves and not be thrown off by the move. All right, that was the second segment. We talked about external forces on athletes and how to maybe deal with some of those things, moving mid-season to another team, and how to approach some of those scenarios. Really, to be honest, all of these things that I'm talking about apply to anyone who's changing schools, to anyone who is moving jobs to a different city as well. I think, they're usually, if we choose to leave for a different job, there's time. Sometimes people get transferred from one job to another, and it's 1 week to the next. Hey, you're getting transferred to this different office in a different city. Go, and we'll figure out things along the way. These same things that I've covered here for the athletes apply to any business person, to anyone at a corporation who's being transferred to a different office, to anyone who's starting a job in a different country, in a different city. You're going to want to really make sure that you have those support systems clear, find your necessities and your stability in your routines as soon as possible, and then and really get your needs met from the beginning, and then make sure that your growth isn't stunted by the fact that you're moving. Make sure that you're continuing to learn, continuing to grow, and not give up on your dreams or on what you've been building just because you're moving. Now, in the third segment, we're going to hop into how we approach that new situation coming into the second half, or a playoff push as a brand new player into a team that's already set up and really has some chemistry already. How do we fit in? How do we approach that situation? So stick with me. We're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we will be hitting that topic. It's time to talk about organization. Moving into the new year, I think a lot of us, especially after Christmas, January tends to be a bit awkward, a bit lazy. We're really heading into that point in our year where we're doing our best to set up our routines and really find organization and routines. My question for you here today, and will be in the poll on Spotify, what is the most important part of your routine to have a successful day? I think for me, one of the most important things to remember is that our evening routines set us up for success for our morning routines. So the more we can pay attention to getting ourselves ready for the next day in the evening, the better we are set up for a successful day the next day. So do yourself a favor, take a look at how you're setting up your days in the evening before, and maybe put a little space, add a little effort into your daily setup in the evening before, and I can guarantee that you'll have smoother mornings and be able to stick to your morning routines better. Welcome back to the Sports and Psychology Podcast. In this second segment, we really dove into outside influences on our trade journey, on our sports journey when we move from city to city, town to town, team to team. Now we're going to dive deep into new team, how we approach mentally, emotionally that new team. I think, first of all, let's get to know as best as we can the expectations of the new team for us. If it's come in and play spot minutes, if it's be a good backup, if it's be a good training partner, if it's we just want you to learn and grow so that next season you can be a real part of the team, a real rotation player, a perfect backup. If it's we want you to fill a certain role, then that's going to be most important, right? We usually know ourselves that we're good at a few things. We usually know that we are good at either technique or effort. And if a team has shown interest in us, and if a team has given up something to get us on their team, they're usually expecting that, especially that one thing that we display that we're good at. So if I can be technically sound, then that's what I'm going into the new team with. If I can put out that effort, then that's what I'm going to the new team with. In terms of like basketball terms, I'm looking at, with every team, there are a few things that I can really put out a strong effort in. That's A, defense. Doing my best with defense. I know that I'm technically sound and I'm going to put out the effort needed, and I'm going to help, and I'm going to talk. That is effort, talking, being mentally engaged. I can do that anywhere. Number 2, rebounding. Everyone can rebound. Everyone can put in the effort to go get a ball. It's just about that choice to do so. Now, not always is it expected, especially if, say, point guards, they need to get back on D, but putting that effort in to do the basics and to do things that not everyone is willing to do is going to be a big step towards me contributing in my new team. I mean, with every sport, it's something a bit different, right? But there are always going to be basic things that everyone can do that not everyone is willing to put the effort into doing, that if I'm new to any team, especially mid-late season, if I can get in and do the dirty work, if I can get in and do the things, set hard screens, be a solid passer, play make in between, score layups, whatever. Again, I'm back at basketball terms, but in every sport there are things that not everyone is willing to do. And if I can be a connector, if I can be a glue person, I'm going to become extremely valuable to the team. And there's no way that someone on the team isn't going to like me and how I play because I'm making everyone else better. So going into any new situation, you're going to want to ask yourself, how can I make this team better? What can I do to fill in the gaps? What can I do to be the glue here? Maybe they're missing a scorer, go be a scorer. Maybe, if that's in your skill set, obviously. If they're missing defenders, hard defenders, go be that. If they're missing rebounders, go be that. If they're missing an energy guy, Dylan Brooks, someone who, sets the team spirit, the team culture, go be that guy. Be the guy who yells "and one" every time you shoot. Like, it doesn't matter, but be that added energy. Come in and really do your best to add something to the team. Something that is over expected, both of athletes and of corporate people changing jobs, is that, especially from ourselves though, not necessarily from the outside, but is that there are expectations that will perform immediately, that will be able to make a huge impact immediately. Some athletes get lucky. Some athletes are quite universal. Some athletes find a perfect fit. Some coaches come in trying to work with new athletes as much as possible to get them to fit in as best as possible. It doesn't always work like that though. In corporations, I would always tell my clients, expect to have 3 months of a new person, expect to have 3 months starting at a new job before you really feel like you're an impactful member of the team, like you're really making a difference. Why should it be any different with athletes? Well, 3 months, the season's over, we finished our playoffs, etc. Fine, okay, I get it. You want to bring value sooner, but giving yourself some sort of buffer where you're able to play through some things, get to know the team, get to know your role a bit better is really important. So my suggestion here would be try and set a date by which you are comfortable. So if I'm coming in and I know that, okay, I've been traded and there's a month before the playoffs start, I would try and get completely comfortable maybe in 3 weeks. And I have a 3-week period where I'm going to test some things, where I'm going to feel okay not being the best contributor. I'm going to see where I can fit in and get to know my role. And at the end of those 3 weeks, I want to feel 100% comfortable in my role and know what I'm coming into. If that timeline's shorter, maybe you give yourself 2 weeks. But those timelines then are really short, and I don't know how realistic it is to feel completely comfortable after 2 weeks with a new team. That's very short. So in any case, come in and try and hit your own expectations, but please try and make those expectations as realistic as possible so that we're not beating ourselves up over things that just couldn't have happened anyways. It is time for me to talk about my services. And this week, instead of talking about my coaching services, we're going to talk about my brand new workshop launched this week. And you can get in at early bird prices if you're a listener and here with me in Prague, Czech Republic. I'm going to be doing a workshop at the YMCA Palace here in Prague, and that's going to be March 14th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And we are going to be covering planning and motivation for non-planners and creators of chaos. So if you're someone like me naturally who, throws their things down and it's the best thing possible because we saw where we put it down and we're going to look around and find it, you're going to want to join. If you're someone like me who tends to prefer agility, who tends to prefer changing plans last minute, doing things when they feel like it instead of setting a clear date, time, and plan, then you're going to want to join this. I'm going to give you tactics and techniques to really set up your life in a way that you still feel that ability to choose, but you know that you're guaranteed to every single day move towards your goals. We will cover self-talk and mindset, creating motivation and understanding our long-term goals and needs over our short-term feelings. Tactics for planning for non-planners. Clear, tried and tested templates for planning that guarantees us a feeling of choice, lightness, and no pressure, while sticking to accomplishing our goals every day. And then working with our thoughts and emotions. Motivation is an emotion. So is laziness, lack of desire, fear of effort, etc. Working with our thoughts and emotions positively is the long-term key to gaining control over our lives. Now, capacity is very limited. So if you're in Prague and you want to get in on this workshop, there are only 15 spots for you. Right now we're at early bird pricing, meaning very cheap. After the 21st of Feb, it is going to get more expensive, so hop in now. You can send in your registration at coachingpraha.com. That's coachingpraha.com/workshop-registration. So that again is coachingpraha.com/workshop-registration. And we really are going to be doing an intimate workshop on planning for you non-planners, for you chaos creators. And I'm going to help you gain that control back in your life, feel like you're ready to move forward and do it in an honorable, respectful, organized way, but without you feeling the pressure of having your hands locked into handcuffs, into the pressure, into the depths of I have to do everything that I've set up. So if you're interested, make sure to get in early. you'll get a discount. Otherwise, prices will go up. Again, that is March 14th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. For those of you listening here in Prague, Czech Republic, looking forward to seeing you there. Would love to meet you in person. Come say hi. It's going to be a great event. See you there. Point 3 for me is we often, and again, this comes back to expectations, but we expect way too much from ourselves in terms of trying to fit in and know all the plays right away. We all know that with the start of a team, training camps, etc., it takes 3, 4, 5 practices for everyone to know the plays. But me as a new player coming into a new team, I want a single practice and I want to know all the plays and I want to fit in immediately. That's not realistic. With a new team comes new terminology, new play calls, different variations, different maybe even defenses than what you're used to. There will be miscommunications. There will be misunderstandings. That's not your fault. Let me repeat that. That is not your fault. So give yourself the space, the time, the ability to learn. Do your best to learn. Do your best to absorb as many new things as possible. But it's going to take time. So for you to fit in also mentally is going to take time. Not only physically, not only effort-wise, not only skill-wise, but also mentally it will definitely take time. And socially as well. Now, we talked about this a few episodes back about coming in and trying to fit in socially. I think I'm back to this idea of being a yes man. Can I join in with social activities as much as possible? With a trade, I think it's a bit more important to keep our limits and keep our boundaries high. Making sure that we really care for ourselves first and foremost. Then secondarily, if I'm feeling good, if I have the time and capacity, yes, I will go to the pub after practice. Yes, I will join in whatever's happening. Yes, I'll hit the bowling alley, what have you. So it's a yes man, but it's a more reserved one in the sense that me first, my comfort, my health, my being grounded comes first. And then second, trying to be that yes man, trying to fit in socially as much as possible. It's really important to remember that this team had interest in us. They brought us on because there was interest in us. They're not giving us a handout. So we are coming there with a level of ability, with a level of standard ourselves as well. So if we're able to fill some gaps on the court, on the field, by doing something that the team doesn't do automatically, fantastic. Let's help raise their standard. If that's communication, for example, you talk more than everyone else on the team. Do it! That's fantastic. Don't drop down to their level. You come in, raise the standard. That's part of the reason why they're bringing you on. If they have higher standards in other things, fantastic, raise to their level. The same thing applies socially. If you're used to some things that you would consider a standard that maybe the team doesn't adhere to, that's fine. Raise the standard. Set your boundaries. Be there and really kind of set your own standards for communication with you. So I think that's really interesting. Whenever you have a new player in a new team, you're adding that player's vision and goals to that team's mix. Every single player has their own vision, has their own goals. The front office has their own goals. The coach has their own goals. I mean, hopefully someone's saying win a championship one day this year, ideally. But in reality, you have players that's goal is to become an all-star. You have players whose goal is to just get better. You have players whose goal is to play, players whose goal is to get 30 minutes a night or be a starter. Player whose goal is to play at home for their favorite team growing up. It's all over the place. And then the front office, of course, let's win without spending too much money. The coach wants to win while having their name be the main reason why they won, maybe. There's a lot of different options, a lot of different visions and goals. So understanding that when you come to a new team, your goal is added to the mix is interesting. Your vision is added to the mix. That's interesting. And making sure that those standards, those expectations you have for behavior, for really working is quite interesting, especially if you're an older player. Obviously, younger players can come in with a great work ethic and get it in, but it's going to be the older players, the ones that are really usually more likely to be traded or moved, who really need to come in and set those standards that they're used to from the past and move a younger team maybe forward into being more professional. So we've talked here ways to fit in physically, the amount of time to get to really feeling comfortable mentally and physically. We've talked about the social side with a new team, and we've talked about expectations. If I had to say one last thing about getting traded, joining a new team, can we please, as athletes, always remember to find our love for the game, to go and have fun? I think getting a fresh start, no matter when it is, with a new team, is an opportunity to go back to the core of why we started playing and why we love the sport. It's an opportunity to go to really loosen up and to start things, reset things again. So if nothing else from this podcast, if you're taking away one thing, is if you're traded, if you're moving teams mid-season, what have you, go back to finding your love for the game. That is contagious, and sometimes the biggest effort, the biggest driver, the most successful people are the ones who just let out that joy. So let that joy ring out for the game. Be that joyous person. Be the passionate person on the court. Be that person hyper-focused. However you project the love for the game, let that come out and represent yourself with that. All right. I hope you had a great time here with me discussing trades, basically discussing player movement mid-season towards the end of season. If you have other ideas, comments, want to hop on the pod with me as a guest, or just completely disagree with me, make sure you send me an email at sportsandpsychologypod@gmail.com, and I will definitely respond. I think it's great to know that if we have a plan and if we have coping mechanisms already worked through to start with, we are really able to become our own rocks. We're really able to become our own stabilizers and move into situations knowing that we will not only survive, we will thrive. And it might take time, but we know we will get there. And we're not being thrown off by different emotions, by different moods, by things that are unpleasant. So know that if you do get traded, if you do get asked to change companies, if you are moving schools, you now have a podcast to go back to. You know how to handle it. Thank you for listening or watching here on YouTube to the Sports and Psychology Podcast. Please tell your friends if you like this pod. I am streaming every Saturday morning everywhere you can find podcasts, as well as on YouTube. If you want to get your questions into a mailbag or give me your thoughts, give me a comment below on YouTube or reach out on Instagram at athlete.m1ndset, Twitter athlete_m1ndset, or email at sportsandpsychologypod@gmail.com. Do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure to leave that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And in the words of Portland Trailblazers rookie Jabari Walker, don't let today get the best of you, get the best of today. Have a great weekend, everyone. Talk to you next week.